Good morning, Guy. I'm going to talk about my encounter with Gospel of Barnabas. It was some 40 years ago, that maybe more than that, 50 years ago, when I was in the class of a religious school. My religious teacher said that the book of the Bible that these Christians are having now are not the original book of the prophet Jesus, because he said the people have altered the book, so it is no longer original. But the original is still available, he said, named Gospel of Barnabas. Then I remember that the Gospel of Barnabas is the original book, which we can say the book sent by God before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, at that age, I think I was about 10 years old at the time. I was curious and think or dream of getting this Gospel of Barnabas and read and compare the content of what we learn in the religious school. But we know Jesus is one of the prophets of God that we learn 25 names of God, 25 names of prophet of God mentioned in the Quran. So one of the name mentioned is Isa, the name Isa, and which is Jesus. So I was at the time thinking of reading. Hopefully, one day I could have got hold of this Gospel of Barnabas and read the Gospel. Was not after only 30 years after my religious teacher said that to me, I found the book. I found it in the local bookshop, a book titled Gospel of Barnabas. Straight away bought it, and I look at it. The book was printed in Pakistan. I read it and noticed the first few chapters was about Jesus born without a father. And the mother's name, given name was Mary, but we recognize that Mary is Maryam, mentioned in the Quran. So Mary sounds like Maryam as well. So it must be Maryam. It's okay. I have no problem of different way of pronounce pronounce it, but it's same name, Mary and Miriam. It sounds the same. Jesus and Isa, does it sound the same? It's not quite the same, but Mary and Miriam start with the letter M, but Jesus start with J and Isa start with E. So, but anyway, it's well known. Jesus is quite well known name, and we know Jesus is Isa in the Quran. So when I got the book, I took it. I was excited that I got the original gospel. I took it to the mosque and showed the book to the Imam. The Imam just looked at me. He carried a book, Gospel of Barnabas. But when he looked at the book, it is an English book. But our Imam is not reading English. So he just looked at the book and no comment, and I know that he's not reading in English, so it's okay. Then never mind. He wants to read it, but because it's in English, so he wasn't interested. So I have the book and happy to read it. But then after some time having the book, I didn't read it straight away, all from page one to finish, but only read it occasionally and keep the book many years in the shelf. But then when I want to read again the book, I lost it. I couldn't find the book. I was searching high and low looking for the book. Couldn't find it. But then I thought to myself, it must be in the website. Yes, I was happy. Gospel of Barnabas is available in the internet. What is available in the internet is Epistle of Barnabas. Well, I also read the Epistle of Barnabas and found the Epistle of Barnabas is not a Muslim book. It's more of a Christian book. So confirm that I'm not interested in reading the Epistle of Barnabas, but was interested only in Gospel of Barnabas. So when I found it in the internet, I'll make a print of Gospel of Barnabas every page, and after I make a print and file it in a file. So I have a file of Gospel of Barnabas, but I still need a book because it's not convenient to carry a file. So I still want the book. But then I look at the online bookstore. Yes, it is available on the online bookstore. So I ordered the Gospel of Barnabas from the online bookstore, and happy it arrived, and I'm having it with me now. I am very careful of it. I look at it carefully. Every day I must see it. I don't want it to get lost again. So after that, I've been reading Gospel of Barnabas word page by page, even reading it, and surprised me. Some Muslim scholar don't regard it as original because some dissimilarity in the Quran, like in the Quran the Messiah is Jesus, but in the Gospel of Barnabas the Messiah is Prophet Muhammad. Another thing mentioned in the Quran mentioned there is 7 heavens, but in the Gospel there mentioned 9 heavens, and for that reason some scholars just dub it as none, cannot look at it as original. Well, that surprised me, because when I read the Quran, there is a verse in the Quran that God had revised. He can do revision. So to me, I see that he just revised. He did a revision from saying Messiah was Prophet Muhammad. He revised it to call Jesus as the Messiah. So what is wrong with it? Because Allah also mentioned that a revision made by Allah, and why he revised the heaven from 9 to 7. Well, it doesn't matter to me, because when Prophet Muhammad traveled to 7 heaven, there he met Prophet Abraham, and after meeting Prophet Abraham in the 7th heaven, he still continue his journey. He still continue his journey after the 7th heaven. So I thought up to God to say yes in the Gospel of Barnabas, he mentioned 9 heavens, and in the Quran he mentioned 7 heavens. So it doesn't matter. What is the test for me whether Gospel of Barnabas is the holy book or not? Is not things like this. I must test it with the fundamental, the core belief. So on the chapter 17, I noticed that there was a story of Peter asking Jesus, "Who is God?" Then Jesus answered, "Who is God?" He explained the attributes of God, being one, being having no son. He was not born, nor he begets. It's very similar to one surah in the Quran. So the fundamental or the core of belief of who is God is the same. The Gospel of Barnabas and the Quran saying the same thing, similar narratives on the attributes of God. So that's enough for me to believe the Gospel of Barnabas is the holy book mentioned by my religious teacher. So Alhamdulillah, now I am reading both the Quran and the Gospel of Barnabas almost every day doing. Some of the narratives in the Gospel of Barnabas is very detailed. Like one story about Abraham seeking God is very detailed in Gospel of Barnabas. So it helped me to know, or it give me knowledge of what happened between Abraham is his father. Very detailed conversation between Abraham and his father. I think that is the story of my encounter with the Gospel of Barnabas, and I believe it's the holy book mentioned in the Quran, the book before the Quran, or mentioned in the surah. Who believe in the book sent to you, Muhammad, and the book sent before you. So also in the Quran mentioned the people who read the Quran will get one good deed, but the people who read both the Quran and the book before the Quran will get 2 good deeds. So why not go for getting 2 good deeds? So I encourage the Muslim to read the Quran also to read the Gospel of Barnabas to get these two good deeds. Thank you very much for being with me. So long.